everyone, welcome to my vlog. So for today's vlog, we are going to tackle the history of science as well as the major discoveries and development of science. If you want to know more about it, let's start! Once again, welcome back to my vlog. Before we start, I will ask you first, what comes up on your mind when you say science? When was science invented or when was science started? For further information, science is from the Latin word scientia, which means knowledge. It is a systematic enterprise that builds and organizes knowledge in a form of testable explanations and predictions about the universe. Earliest root of science can be traced to the ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia around 3500 to 3000 BC. Now let's proceed to the history of science. The history of science is a study of development, including the both natural and social science. Natural science is a branch of science concerned with the descriptions, predictions, and understanding of natural phenomena. It was based on empirical evidence from the observations and experimentation. Natural science can be divided into two main branches: the life science or biological science and the physical science. While social science is the branch of science devoted to the study of societies and the relationship among individuals within the society. Social science main branches such as psychology, economic, law, political science, demography, and human geography and sociology. It also includes some fields of humanities such as anthropology, history, and linguistics. The English word scientist is relatively recent, first coined by William Kewell in the 19th century. Before that, investigators of nature they call themselves as natural philosopher, while observation of natural world have been described since classical antiquity, for example by Thales and Aristotle.
Thales is recognized for breaking from the use of methodology to explain the world and the universe, and instead explaining natural objects and phenomena by naturalistic theories and hypotheses in a precursor to modern science. Aristotle's view on physical science profoundly shaped medieval scholarship. Their influence extends from late antiquity and early Middle Ages into Renaissance, and were not replaced systematically until the Enlightenment, and theories such as classical mechanics were developed.
Employed since Middle Ages, for example, by Adam L. Hayden and Roger Bacon.
Ibn al-Haytham was the first to explain that visions occur when the light reflects from the object and then passes one's eye. He was also the first to demonstrate that visions occurs in the brain rather than in the eye. Bacon discovered the importance of empirical testing, when the results he obtained were different than those that would have been predicted by Aristotle.
And modern science began to develop in the early modern period, and in particular in the scientific revolution of 16th to 17th century. Traditionally, historians of science have defined science sufficiently broadly to include those earlier inquiries. From 18th through the late 20th century, the history of science, especially the physical and biological science, was often presented as a progressive accumulations of knowledge in which true theories replaced false belief. More historical interpretation rather, such as Thomas Kuhn, in which he tends to portray the history of science in terms of competing paradigm or conceptual system in a wider matrix intellectual, cultural, economic, and political trends. This interpretation, however, have met with opposite where they only portray the history of science as an inherent of incommensurable paradigm, not leading to any scientific process, but only to the illusions that has been occurred.
Major discoveries and development of science in different periods: Ancient period, Medieval period, Renaissance period, and Industrial period. Ancient period, 3500 BC to 500 AD. Most of the discoveries in ancient period are made of stone and bone of animals. 10 million years ago, ancient humans made the first tool from stone, wood, antlers, and bones. And 1 and 2 million years ago, ancient humans discovered fire. 25,000 to 50,000 BCE, ancient humans first wear of clothes. 10,000 BCE, earliest boats were constructed. 8,000 to 9,000 BCE, beginnings of human settlements and agriculture. 6,000 to 7,000 BCE, handmade bricks first used for construction in the Middle East. 3,500 to 5,000 BCE, glass is made by people for the first time. And 3,500 BCE, ancient human invented a wheel. And 2,500 BCE, ancient Egyptians produced papyrus, a crude early version of paper. And 2000 BCE, water racing and irrigation devices like the shaduf, invented by the ancient Egyptians, introduced the idea of lifting things using counterweights. In 600 BCE, Thales of Miletus discovered static electricity. It's called the Dark Ages because there are few written records remaining from the said era. Medieval period, AC 500 to 1500, also known as the Dark Ages. It is considered to be the most creative periods in the history. In 12th century, windmills developed in the medieval Europe. In 14th century, mechanical clock was invented. Medieval castle. It was invented during 1066. Castles are most probably the most famous inventions of the Middle East. In 15th century, the printing press of Johannes Gutenberg was greatest invention in this era. Renaissance period, 14th to 17th century. Here are some scientists in this period. Nicholas Copernicus, born in 1473 and died 1543. Presented a theory of heliocentric of the universe in 1543. This model positioned the Sun near the center of the universe, motionless with the Earth and the other planets orbiting around its circular paths, modified by epicycles at the uniform speed. It was a major breakthrough in the history of science, though the Catholic Church banned his book. Galileo Galilei, born in 1564 and died 1642. He improved the telescope, discovered new celestial bodies, found the support for a heliocentric solar system. He conducted on-motion experiments on pendulums and falling objects that paved the way for Isaac Newton's, in 1643 to 1727, discoveries about the gravity. Johannes Kepler, born on December 27, 1571, died November 15, 1630. Tabulae by Johannes Kepler. It was published in 1627. Leonardo da Vinci, born in April 1452, died May 2, 1529. Of Leonardo famous work, drawing of the torso and the arm in 1510. Industrial period in 18th century. Spinning jenny was engine for spinning wool or cotton invented in 1763 by James. Richard Trevithick built the first steam locomotive in 1802. Telegraph communication. It was created in the early 1880s. Typewriter is widely accepted in 1829. William Austin Burt patented the first typewriter, which he terms a typographer. The world's first photograph made in a camera was taken in 1826 by Joseph Gnesipo Niepce. Dynamite is yet another invention that can trace its origin to the Industrial Revolution.